Okay, it is December 27th, so it's nearly the end of the year, meaning I have read a decent amount of books. My goal for the year was to read 30 books, and I read 49 books. So now, instead of doing a whole everything I read in 2025, I'm going to do my favorite books of 2025, or like the books I really like. They just stuck in my mind a lot. I'm a very generous rater when it comes to books. I easily give books 4 stars if I just enjoyed it. 5 stars is a little bit more reserved, but I give a lot of books 5 stars. Yeah, so I have with me my journal, and I have written down my books for the year. I think we'll go starting at the beginning of the year and just kind of go like that instead of running backwards. The first book that I'm putting on like my favorite books of 2025 is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This book was so good. I was crying like 2 chapters into it. If you've read it, you know. It's just, oh, it's so good. It's about, if you are unaware of all of the Hunger Games, everything, this one centers around Haymitch Abernathy, who was a mentor to Katniss and Peeta in their Hunger Games books. And this is his second quarter quell when he was reaped. And it provides so much backstory, and the epilogue is also so good. And especially if you just like the movies, you should totally read the books. And the new Sunrise on the Reaping movie comes out sometime next November, 2026. I know it comes out in 2026 November, but Sunrise on the Reaping it was so good. And the next book I read, kind of going down in the year, this one I took over a couple months just to read, just to span it, because it was for a class that I read it, and that was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So I read this for an English class, but it was so good. There's so many literary elements in this book that you just don't quite get unless you just take your time reading it. I did a decent amount. There's some in here. Like I did like notes and everything in the book, but I want to read it again and just go so much more in depth. It's a romance in the sense that there's romantic elements to it, because Gatsby is trying to get his love, Daisy, to be with him, and like he throws these parties and everything, but it's not just there's so much behind it, and the narration is just, it's wonderful writing. It's really good, and it's a classic for a reason. It was a really, really good book, and I really enjoyed reading it for class. I loved taking the notes on it and everything, and being able to just dive deep into it. I recommend everybody read it. It's good. It's a good classic, and it is honestly pretty fast-paced. So between The Great Gatsby and my next favorite book of 2025, there was a decent amount of space because it was over summer. So I was doing a lot of light summer reading, which was just a lot of quick books and like stuff like that. So they weren't like favorites. I really enjoyed them. I probably gave majority of them 4 stars, and I enjoyed them. I still think about them a bit, but they didn't really stick with me. And so this one just kind of like tied it off. I think I actually talked about this in a vlog earlier this year. I think around September I posted it maybe, but that is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. And so I read Better Than the Movies up there when it came out a couple years ago. And then when Nothing Like the Movies came out, I had very conflicting opinions about it, and I did not want to read it. So I'm like, okay, why would they, this is not spoiling, why would they break up? What's the whole point? Why would they even do that in the story? Because they were so perfect in the book for each other. Why would she break them up? But then once I read it and was getting through and just their story, I loved it. And I loved following Liz and how she was like working for her career and just doing all these different things. Like she's wanting to go into music, and like that was her high school dream, but the way she's now achieving it in college, like she's doing all these film things at UCLA, and how she's like gonna go into patent law and like music law and stuff like that. And it's just, I really enjoyed that part of it. There's heavier topics in it, but it was just a really good read, and it was probably like my biggest surprise because I was not excited going into it, but that I so enjoyed it. So Nothing Like the Movies Lynn Painter was one of my favorite reads of 2025, and I would honestly reread this book multiple times before I reread Better Than the Movies. Just saying it. So then my next read was this was actually a memoir that I read for a seminar class, my first semester, and I did not know what to expect. I knew it was a memoir. It was The Empathy Diaries by Sherry Turkle. So it's Sherry Turkle's memoir. It's about her life and everything, and she's written a lot of other books, and most people have probably heard of them, but the concept of how humans interact with technology and how we lean towards the media and everything, and the way she would research that and the social aspects of it, and how we can be alone together and things like that. It was a very, very good read. I tabbed a lot, and there were so many quotes in this book. It was really interesting to follow. Let me see if I can find one of the quotes that just really summed up everything. Screens not only distract us, but encourage us to look to others for our sense of self. Then later down she says, we cannot relate to others until we are comfortable with ourselves. That's a psychoanalytic first principle. If you don't teach your children to be alone, they'll only know how to be lonely. And she talks so much about empathy and the vulnerability that empathy requires, and how her life story gave her empathy, and how she wanted to have her children to have empathy without having to go through the trials in her life that she did. And it's a really good read. I would recommend it. I want to read in the 2026 year more memoirs. So I really recommend, if you're wanting to get into memoirs, I would recommend reading The Empathy Diaries. It was a very good book. Okay, and then my last 2025 favorite read I just finished it up in early December, and that was Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. This book was so good. I read it mostly because I loved the Tinkerbell, the Pixie Hollow, all of that stuff from when I was a kid. And so when I found out this book was coming out, the day it went out, I was going to the stores and looking for it, and I could not find it anywhere. But when I finally got my hands on it, and then I read it, and it was gorgeous reading. It was great. And I really enjoyed it in the aspect of the fact that I could picture so much of it in my head because of all the Pixie Hollows movies. So if I hadn't seen the Pixie Hollow movies, I think I would have struggled a little bit with it. I can understand that for someone who wasn't a fan when they were a little kid. But it was great, and I loved the backstory with Queen Clarion and Mallory. So then after I read the book, I of course rewatched the Tinkerbell and the sister, or what one was it? I'll figure it out. But it was a gorgeous read. It was probably one of my favorites, and I truly enjoyed reading it. I highly recommend this book, especially if you loved, I recommend it to anybody, but if you loved the Pixie Hollows movies or Tinkerbell, just all of that, genre type stuff, fairies, that childhood-esque thing, read Wings of Starlight. It was a really, really good. I mean, an honorable mention, I did reread Pride and Prejudice this year. I reread it because I got this edition of the book where it has everything in it, but it also has handwritten. Let me pull one out. Oh my goodness. It's just a book, but it also has the handwritten letters in it. I got this when I was in Indiana from a bookshop, and I love the Pride and Prejudice book by Jane Austen. It is one of my favorite books of all time. I reread it almost every year, and it's just so good. And then the movie is so good. The 2005, I love the show, but the 2005 version just has my heart. But rereading this every year, that's always going to be a top favorite book. But this version is absolutely stunning. I like collecting Pride and Prejudice books, if you can't tell. So those are my favorite books of 2025, my favorite reads, this year was a really good reading year. It was hard to read once the first semester of college started, just because I was so into school and I wanted to settle in and make friends, but I was really glad that I got to read so many good books. So before I end this, I kind of want to do just like a mini Christmas haul of the books I got, because if you watched the previous winter break vlog, I rearranged my books and I was like, this is all subject to change, because I was under the assumption that I would get more books for Christmas, and I did get more books for Christmas because I asked for books from everyone pretty much. So yeah, let's just go through them really quick. This is Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. It's gonna fit perfectly up here with my other Ali Hazelwood books. But I love her writing. I love the STEM aspect of it so much. And I love knowing she's a woman in STEM herself. So reading this, I love Ali Hazelwood books. This is one of her newer ones, so I just had to have it. One of the next books I got was Better in Black by Cassandra Clare. This one just came out, I think, like 2 weeks ago, a week ago maybe. It is like brand new release, and I got it. I am so happy with it. And this one, it's just like 10 stories of Shadowhunter romance and everything. So I've read all of the Shadowhunter books. I have them all up there on my top shelf, and I love it. It's a very nostalgic series. I remember reading it when I was younger, and I'm very excited for it. I want to see the inside cover. Wow, that is stunning. Look at that. Very excited to read this year. The next book I got, Alchemize by, I don't know for sure if I'm pronouncing this right, but Shenlin Yu. Yeah, this book, it is really heavy. It's like 1,000 pages. It's a really heavy book, but I am really excited to read it. It was so popular. I saw it on Instagram so much, people talking about it, and so I just knew I needed to get it. So I'm really, really excited to read this. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog or something when I do, because it is a long book. So I'm very excited to read this one. Yeah. Okay, so then these next two, I won 2 more. I got Quicksilver by Callie Hart. My older sister read this book and she really enjoyed it. And I've seen so many people talk about it, and so I just I gotta read it. I gotta have it, gotta read it. And it's gorgeous. And it's super floppy. So be reading that sometime this year. And last but not least is Direbound by Sable Sorensen. This one I'm really excited for. My sister, she was telling me about this one. I don't know a crazy amount. I know it's like wolves and Direbound, wolves. I know it's like a lot of wolves and all that stuff in it, and I love reading about that. So I just love the fantasy aspect of so many books, and I love learning about the worlds behind it. So I'm very excited to read this. Thank you so much for watching my favorite books of 2025, and also a little Christmas haul of books. I hope everybody had a very, very Merry Christmas. So with all that being said, I will see you next time. Oh my gosh. There's so many.